This is going to be an extremely simple recording. I will be just really summarizing Hongru's kit. One of the lengthiest ID kits we've had so far, with I believe like 9 different statuses. Let's just go here fast. S1, defense power up. Basically just think of a Captain Ishmael. Same thing with the Captain Ishmael. It gives more defense level with higher resonance, except with Captain Ishmael's S1 Envy. It has aggro, this one just has assist defense, and then everything else is just normal rupture poise stuff. We're not going to talk about the on-hit effects, we're just going to talk about the skills very, very fast. 4 coins, 2 unbreakables. Chill stuff, gives you gluttony damage. For another ally that has gluttony damage, that has a gluttony skill equipped, simple stuff. S3, a very quite complicated skill. But basically, this entire thing, offense level, defense level down, and it does exalted command. Now, what does exalted command do? Exalted command, basically, think of Captain Ishmael assist attack, right? But instead of the assist attack, it does an S3 instead, and this actually focuses on activating heishous. So if you use your S3, you choose your heishou with the lowest unrelenting storm. We don't have to worry about this. With the lowest unrelenting storm, and they do their S3, and after they do their S3, this text says, after exalted command is complete, the Lord of Honglu activates I carve the path of the Lord. So he then uses this. So the order goes, you use this, your heishou does an S3, and then you do this. Okay? Basically, big damage skill, this is the activator. So it goes here to heishou S3 to this. Alright? If the heishou dies, or if it just didn't activate, aka perhaps the identity gets staggered, or just removed or retreated, he uses this. Basically, even better version of this. With another coin, even more damage stops and stuff. His defense, basically just slash power up, and he basically chooses the one ally with the one heishou with the lowest HP, and he forces them to retreat. After he forces them to retreat, they use Your Will Guides My Blade, which is basically just them using an S1 against a random enemy. Right. After that, we have another effect, which is that if there are no backup units, instead of retreating, you just give attack power up. Okay, that's it. You have Lord's Guard, but we'll get into that later. So that's basically his kit here. Alright, very, very fast stuff. He is a poise rupture identity. He has a lot of poise count of his skills. He has rupture count for a lot of skills as well. This has 4 coins, but only has 1 rupture count area, which is concerning. Perhaps it's probably going to be +2. This has a lot of different effects. This heals SP, heals SP, heals SP for the least SP, apply attack power up, a bunch of random conditional effects, right? You have heishou bonus contamination after which as well, but we will get into that later, alright? We have all this, and we have this, which is basically the exact same thing, potentially just even more damage, right? More damage ceilings for this. Mostly the same effects, right? You can read them if you want, but basically it just deals a lot of damage, right? You have no way of getting this other than like your exalted command ID dying. So, we talked about how he's forcing heishous to do their S3s through his S3, and now we're going to talk about his passive. His passive basically is when your ally gets in your team, after retreating, they heal SP and then they use their skill 1. Now this is different if they're a heishou or Jia family unit. So you have Siu Ishmael retreating, just return back. They're gonna use their S3 on an unopposed attacking against a random enemy. This combines well with his skill over here, retreating an ally, right? You retreat your heishou, they come back later. By the way, after they retreat, they actually get pushed to the most like earliest spot in the substitute area. So after they retreat, they're like the first one to come back later. So after they come back, they actually use their S3 immediately. So you can see this idea is all about enabling other heishous to their S3 spam. Very, very nice unit already. And you can already tell it's a very, very strong gimmick. Now, they're gonna use their S3. Another part of his passive is Leash Holder of all heishous. Basically, he just gains a bunch of effects if you have heishous on your team, including substitute. Max stack 11, which is actually very interesting. So that probably confirms that there's gonna be 11 mouse, right? There's going to be a Mao for every single ID, potentially over time in a few cantos, right? I don't expect him to come all the way right now. I expect him to come maybe in the second interval after this, potentially somewhere around that, right? Basically, just gives max speed, min speed, and a bunch of offense level up, and potentially a whole team-wide damage up. So, you know, looking forward to an S3 every single turn with 11 heishous, considering his passive. Very much looking forward to that. Okay, it's about time we talk about heishous bolus contamination. We're gonna skip this line for a bit. Let's talk about heishous bolus contamination. You saw in the trailer how he's actually comboing with an ID, right? It's not really a combo. You'll definitely understand that later when I show you, but it's not really a combo, right? You basically just do the skill, and the ID that did exotic command with you, you get an effect depending on what ID that was, right? The animation, it's just an animation. It doesn't have like additional damage from the other ID. You're just doing this with including the combo, the quote-unquote combo from the other Mao character. And I know that's a bit confusing to understand, but you'll see it later when I show you the video and compare the skills. So heishous bolus contamination. Let's say you ordered, let's say Otis had the lowest unrelenting storm. Well, he's gonna order Otis to attack with her S3, right? After that, you're gonna have heishous bolus contamination after attack. Gain heishous bolus contamination depending on which heishous pack identity receive exotic command. Alright, what does heishous bolus contamination do? Heishous bolus contamination, basically all it does is after they do their S3, right? After you command them with S3, you gain an effect that is different depending on what Mao you're using. So here I mentioned Otis, right? You inflict rupture count on hit with unopposed attacks for the rest of the fight. And this is like permanent at minimum +1 rupture count. That makes all of his skills rupture neutral. Very much looking forward to that. His S2 is definitely going to hit hard. But other effects include Foss take less damage from skills, Ryoshu deals more damage based on speed if you're faster than them, Suirodion does rupture potency, and Suigurger gives you poise count for when dealing rupture damage, and you know Huanglu is a poise rupture identity. That's it for this. Now we're gonna talk about life from death. Life from death basically stacks even more depending on how many of your heishous units die. The more they die, you gain even more attack power, damage up, offense level up. So very simple stuff. Something that a skill that actually scales off of this is his S3 version 3, which scales off of life from death. You know, this is synergistic because, you know, the only way you get the skill is if a Mao unit dies or gets staggered, so they're probably going to be in danger, and potentially if they die, you use this, and it's pretty much scaling very hard. Imagine this with 11 heishous. Unfortunately, the stag is only 5, which is the amount of heishous we actually have currently. 2 C's and Mao Yoshu, Mao Faust, and Mao Otis, right? You only have 5 of them. So this is off the get-go already like maxed out. You can make this path maxed out. Probably not gonna see that much play at the moment because, you know, you only have 5 Mao identities. It's not like you have an unlimited supply of them. So we'll see later. This is definitely gonna be more powerful when more release. And the last thing I'll talk about from passives is Lord's Guard. After that, we're gonna get into like very specific stuff. Lord's Guard, basically all it does is combat start, probably a resonance-based passive. If this unit did not equip a defense skill, which is this one, aka he didn't retreat anyone, he's gonna give Lord's Guard to the highest resonance, random heishous pack allies with the least assist defense stacks. Faust actually has assist defense, right? So this is probably gonna ignore Faust if you did choose to guard with Faust. Malfaust, if you didn't know, has a skill on her defense, which gives her assist defense, protecting an ally from a hit that redirect into her with her clashable guard. If I remember correctly, that's how it works. So Lord's Guard is basically the exact same thing, but it does it for every single other heishous pack ally. And what Lord's Guard does is whenever an enemy is about to attack Honglu and it's an unopposed attack, it actually redirects to the heishous. So similarly to Faust, except it's available to every single heishous now. And they're gonna clash with this. Lord's Guard, if target has explicit target has effects, gain clash power. So basically all your other IDs are gonna be protecting this guy. Already we can see this is an extremely strong ID, ordering S3's defense power up, 4 coin, fully rupture neutral after a few turns, and he just doesn't take damage. So you're already playing into this, right? You know, one concern I had was like, oh, what if he just dies early? Well, he doesn't. He literally doesn't. If you choose to resonance, resonance as a passive, and if you're looking at like, oh, 5 attack skills are going for Honglu and all my IDs are slow, well, guess what? I can just resonance and boom, they're all gonna be clashing Lord's Guard instead, and all my other heishous are gonna be tanking them instead. And I believe if like 4 enemies attack and like 4 of your heishous have assist defense, they probably like go one by one, right? But probably, yes. I believe that's how it works because it would say unopposed attacks instead of unopposed attack if that was the case. So that's basically it. That's this entire kit. We went very, very fast, but that's basically this entire kit. Unrelenting Storm, you only get this after you combo, right? You have a max attack of 2, you get offensive and defense level up. So if you use Unrelenting Storm, by the way, is one you gain from here, and you gain it whenever you combo with Honglu. So if earlier I mentioned Otis, right? She does her S3, she actually gains 1 Unrelenting Storm, and then he's gonna go to your next heishous identity that has less Unrelenting Storm. So he's not gonna go for Otis again, he's probably gonna go for Foss, Ryoshu, or C. Gregor, or C. Roliam. So you are guaranteed to have probably every single contaminated bolus effect. Because earlier we mentioned, oh, every single one of them gives you a different one, depending on which one you combo with. Well, because it targets the one with the release comboed one, you're gonna get this after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 uses. And potentially 11 uses after we have this whole thing. So that's it for Honglu's kit. After that, we have the really specific parts. Here, kind of like a Blade Lineage Mirror Salt effect, and because it's tied to the probably Resonance Base passive, it's really similar to Blade Lineage Mirror Salt. Blade Lineage Mirror Salt, if you didn't know, you can't drop down to a 0, and you nullify the damage, and you're stuck on 1. But this ID actually has Tarnished Blood. Tarnished Blood, if you didn't know, is one of his ego status effects. His BP ego, actually. Tears of the Vanished Rain, if I remember correctly. It's his WoW Battle Pass ego. And Tarnished Blood, you get this after you stack a bunch with the ego. That's a very simplified explanation, but you stack a bunch with the ego, you gain Tarnished Blood, and the goal of that ego is you die and then you activate it, right? And this status that you gain after using it for a while and waiting for a while chunks out 20% of your HP every single turn. Now, that sounds pretty damn bad, right? But the thing is, right, I believe that this actually kills him next turn. But luckily, if you do have the yeah, I'm pretty sure this kills him next turn, because Tarnished Blood doesn't say like, oh, you can't drop below 1 with this effect. It does literally just kill you. So what this does, all it does is just stall for another turn, and then he just dies. Now this changes if you have his ego here, Tears of the Tarnished Blood. Okay, I should have just read that instead of trying to figure it out in my head. Sorry. But basically, it nullifies the dev effect and its after effect effects. So if you didn't know, this actually kills you after you activate it. So the fact that it nullifies it just gives you an extra life, and then you heal HP start next turn, and then you actually cleanse this Tarnished Blood, I believe. Because Tarnished Blood, after you use it, it actually takes all of your Tarnished Blood. So you're gonna be using Tarnished Blood. You go to 1 HP, you die the next turn, you use your ego because you died, and then after you use your ego, you cleanse all of your Tarnished Blood, and then you nullify the dev effect, so he's still alive, and then he heals HP. And then he just has damage up every single turn. So cool stuff. Finally, support passive. An ally with the least HP percentage does more damage against the enemy, proportional to the type of force on the enemy. Alright, casual stuff. You don't want to run this guy on bench. You have no reason to run this guy on bench. Okay, so first thoughts. This ID is really, really strong. You have really spammy S3s. This ID literally doesn't die. He has infinite protection. This is like Captain Ahab type of protection. You know how she like taunts you guys? And then she makes Quick tank all the hits? This is literally just Captain Ahab on fucking drugs, right? And that's pretty much it. He has so many damage up conditionals. He's gonna scale really, really well. He has potentially rupture neutral for the rest of the fight. If you manage to have Mao Otis take it. One additional thing I want to note is that I believe if you make Mao Otis the last deployed ID, I'm pretty sure it would prioritize her, because then it would check for the like lowest priority least, right? I believe that's how it works, or it's the opposite and she's like the highest one, because it targets the least one with Unrelenting Storm, right? And if they're all on 0, they're gonna choose, I believe, the highest position ID, aka number 1 or number 6 or number 7, depending on what canto you're on, right? So either of the two, you can probably confirm Otis. I actually forgot how this works when it's talking about like least. I know how it works for most, like it goes for the first one, right? But I don't know about the least. You can definitely like confirm Otis immediately, and you can immediately get rupture neutral skills for every single turn afterwards. So that's pretty much it for Honglu's kit. Now we're gonna be looking at the video, and I'm gonna be showing you what I mean when I say that the combos are just animations. As I was saying, I will be showing you the video just to show you what I mean. Normal stuff here. Here's his S1 with regular stuff. That's his S1, 2 coins. Here's his S2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Normal stuff. Now this is the most interesting part. This is actually him using his counter. He gets hit and then he hits back. And then he commands the heishous to do an S1 right there, and then they go back. And then Ryoshu is actually added in, and she does an S3 because she just got substituted in by Otis. Here's his S3, he uses an S3, right? They use their S3 after they get commanded by him. These are all the heishous doing their S3. Now here, this, contrary to what people believe is like a quote-unquote huge combo between both IDs, isn't like that. How it works is you use this, right? This is his S3, you use your S3, you activate another unit's S3, and then after unit does their S3 like here, and we saw C. Gregor, C. Rodion, I mentioned earlier how he uses his S3 version 2, right? The one with 2 coins, the pride skill. He uses that one after this. The combo, the quote-unquote combo, is actually just that skill. It's just him using the 2 coins. It's not a combo between both units, right? I actually thought it was like, oh, they're using their S3 together? That's awesome. But no, it's just him using his 2 coin S3. Here's him using his S3, but nobody follows up, and so he uses his S3 version 3, the one that scales with life or death. We don't actually get to see Lord's Guard in this video, but that's pretty much it. That's just one thing I wanted to clear up because I did actually think that at first. I am definitely excited for Honglu. I personally don't play Rupture. If you can tell, I am a bleed player. But hey, for those Rupture players out there, just have fun spamming your S3s. Thanks for watching.